Okay, so the next day, this is our our last full day in Perth. We had for the last few months we've been working with a group called Foodie Coaches, and they specifically do coaching for hospitality businesses. And so far so good, hey. Definitely seems to be like one of those programs where it doesn't really matter where you're at in your business journey, that they've got some level of advice, and good advice at that as well. So, sorry, it's been a pig of a night with old mate, so he's joining me. Hopefully we'll see how far we get. So, no, it was really good. We Micky, Beck's sister, very luckily was able to watch the kids for us, which was amazing. So we headed into the city, and we stopped by, grabbed some coffee on the way, and set Mick up with the kids. Goodness me, sorry. And they were all pretty excited, hey? They were pretty excited for it. So we set her up with the kids and went on our way. We're hoping to be able to make it into... There's a new restaurant that Guy Grossi, who Beck used to work for in Melbourne, has opened like a buffet restaurant or something like that. Or buffet breakfast, which I thought was very odd because, here's this guy in Melbourne who... He's got the likes of, Beyonce and Russell Brand, and they come in to eat in his restaurants, and he's doing like a flash buffet breakfast. And I was going, it's very odd, but, if there's something he's done right, it's calibre of people, and the food that he puts out is incredible. So we thought we'd go give it a go, but we ran out of time. Anyway, we got to this. We got into the city, and because we've got a pod on our roof rack, we could not find anywhere to park because the profile of all the parking locations and the I guess parking locations. The height of it is so small, and we actually couldn't get the car in, and we're like, God, this is a pain. And we drove around, and we thought we had enough time, and we definitely didn't. Everywhere we went, like even the convention centre was full. We're like, why is the bloody convention centre full? Like, it's a Monday, Anyway, so we kind of like drove around and finally found a place where it wasn't... Well, it wasn't open air parking, but kind of close. So we're very fortunate to be able to park there, which was really, really great. So we parked there, and then we spent... so the whole day we spent workshopping on the stuff that these guys were presenting. So we were really lucky. We had like one of the, I guess, head coaches, trainers in the program. His name's Jimmy. He was a legend. And then the general manager, Belle, and she was the CEO for... Oh, goodness. Some really, really big hospitality organisation in Australia. And so she's got a wealth of knowledge, like a super, super wealth of knowledge. And she was the one that really challenged me a few weeks back to go open book with the team. I had a meeting with her around a few things in the program that had come up, and she's like, is there anything I can specifically help you with? I was like, I want to understand, like, I understand the principle of leadership, I've gone for a bit of a dive into that. Obviously, I don't understand it in its entirety, but I feel like I've got a pretty good grip on that. But now it's like, how do you actually lead an organization of people rather than just people? How does that look? And she was just like, open your books. And I was like, oh, frick. So she was the one that really it really hit me with that challenge. And so what they did, the format that they took was they took they've got a retreat where they do like a 3-day intensive with all their members. And, as many members as can make it. And so they did this big retreat. And then they took all the best bits and the most value that everybody got out of those retreats, or the retreat, and then they presented that to us. And a lot of it was around like mindset, and obviously for the last 3 years, about that, probably just under 3 years, I've been working with Nero, this mindset coach, and and he, man, there's been so much I've learned from him. Hey, And I mean, and he's been doing this for about a decade now from memory, maybe a bit longer, and works with all sorts. Hey, like the business domain, and then you got people in like individual, or what am I individuals? So like, what, he works with everyone. Is just the easiest way to say that. So he works with everyone, and he loves it, and it's incredible to be able to I guess that's what he's kind of dedicated his life to. At least it seems from my perspective. And so I say all that to say that it's interesting. Like when I see people talking about habits and habits and thinking and everything else, and what I understand now is that, well, actually there's a whole world of things that happen around your thoughts. There's so much influence that reduces down to how you think. And habits are not simply as just, grit it out. I mean, case in point, like I was saying a little while back in that book, Influence, like Tally Sharrett, she talks about how the marshmallow experiment is not about willpower and determination. It's about having trust in the future, and that you can trust that I don't have to have this now because I'm going to get it later on. Oh, sorry, excuse me. Oh, goodness. So, and so habits really, I remember, it's really at the point where you start building beliefs and values. That's where you have your habits, and the habits you continually do is the parts that really form your identity. Because you're like, well, I am what I do, and you see yourself continually doing good things and things in line with your beliefs and values. And so anyway, so the whole thing started with mindset. And I remember actually, so Tim Comerfield, he's the guy that heads up the coaching program. And he was saying across like all the industries, so he used to be an accountant from memory. But he's had a breadth of experience with these different industries, and he was like, hospitality is the most victim mentality industry that he's worked with. It is incredible. There's so many people who just like, woe is me, like, don't want to take ownership of their shit and all these sorts of things. And like, listen, I see it. Absolutely, I see it. It's just like, it's almost like entitlement. Where it's like, I deserve this. Well, sure. I mean, you could deserve it, but you also got to get the bloody runs on the board too. And I'm aware I'm coming from a point where I'm getting the runs on the board. I'm not from a point where I can say that retrospectively or anything like that. So yeah. So anyway, so it was that they started with mindset, and then about planning, and they really kind of just took these frameworks that they've got. And this is the thing, is I'm aware you can build the best tools in the whole world, but unless they get used, you might as well have not built them in the first place. So what they did was that, they've got these like really great planning tools and stuff, and they took them, we went through and we planned out the next, quarter. And it was really, really good activities. A lot of it was around like, and I think this is the power of these environments, is you've got a whole room full of people. Like there was 31 business owners there. So you've got a whole room of people, and literally between everyone, hundreds of years of experience. You are a fool to not take advantage of that. Sorry, give me 2 seconds. I'm just putting him back in the rocker. We got this like automatic rocker, and you can like press the speed, so you might hear like a in the background. That's what that is. For those wondering, it's a Fisher-Price product. I would like to show you, but I'm not going to try and detach my camera and shit. It's really good. It's old. I don't know how else to describe it. But if you're a parent, and it's okay, it's got like a green like swing bit, and the rest is kind of like grey and white. But yeah, V good, do recommend. And the other one was that rocket that we got, that kind of like automatically rocks the anything you attach it to, really. Yeah, really good. Yeah, so anyway, we went over that, and we did, we had all these like really, really cool like workshops that we did, and a lot of it was just around planning and forethought. And it's funny, hey, like how, if a few weeks back, I shaved all this off, maybe about a month back now, I'm not sure, and had... It's just amazing all the other areas of your life that automatically start falling into place. And now, like, I want structure. Or more so, structures that I could have been using the whole time, now I'm actually wanting to use them, which is really, really cool to watch. So, like, what I'm noticing now, even like I live by my calendar. I've been really intentional. I've been reading a book called On Productivity by a guy named Ari Marcel, I think. This one, it says, collective wisdom of the most efficient man alive. Most efficient man alive? Yeah, don't know. He runs a company I've never heard of. Doesn't mean that he's not the most efficient man alive, but it's very bold. It seems like a pretty clickbaity statement. Nonetheless, he's got some good bits of advice in there. And what I've been doing is, been really, really intentional about structuring my calendar. And that's been really valuable. I've really enjoyed that, so... and then even just using specific channels with people to be able to communicate and putting boundaries around those channels. And even with Charlene, who's our administrator, I've just said to her, I was like, hey, listen, these hours is my project work. No appointments are to be booked during this time unless it needs to be done and we can't get it in elsewhere. Otherwise, these are the times we're going to be able to book appointments in. And just putting some structure in around my day so that it is structured. So there's something there to actually use and follow and stuff. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, so like there's these structures and I actually really want to use them now. And and even thinking around, okay, like at the end of my day, like reviewing the day, seeing how I'm going and all these sorts of things, and am I on track with the things I said I wanted to be on track with, and kind of like evaluating the end of my day. Well, I also want to be keeping like my 90-day plan and my quarter, like right there. It's like right there. So that way I know, okay, cool, I'm on track. I am working toward the thing that I'm working on, and it's front of mind. So that's pretty cool. And it's cool to see that there's this natural progression. Like you sort out one thing and then all this other shit also falls into place. So, so at a very, very high level, that's kind of, oh goodness, hang on. At a very high level, that was the experience of the workshop. Obviously there was a lot that went into that, and I'm not just going to say like, oh well, here's all the information from these guys' programs, but very, very worthwhile. And the presenters, man, they're good. Jimmy and Belle, they presented really well, and every time that we jump on one of the calls or anything like that with the workshop, like they're always really, really good. So all right, so after that we went and we scooped by and picked up my niece, took her back with Micky. And that was cool. She was really sweet. Chucked her in the car, and she was just, we haven't really spent much one-on-one time with her, and she's got the good personality. So yeah, we headed back to Freo. Micky was telling us about the day, and I think for her, like she's got a very young bub. I think like 12 weeks, and maybe a bit more now, 13. And other one, our niece, we picked her up and. She's maybe 2.5 perhaps. And, so it's still like, for the most part, pretty manageable. And then all of a sudden we gave her 3 more kids. And listen, Lex and Tills, they're great. Eliza still needs a lot of supervision, and now she's got 2 kids at Eliza's age. both of which need a lot of supervision. And anyway, it got hectic. She was telling us, they walked over to the beach and tried to cross a road, and kids were freaking out and running across the road when they shouldn't have, and just the whole lot. And she's here is telling us, she's like, listen, I need to confess, blah 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 blah, blah. And we were like listening, cracking up. We're like, okay, cool, like they're all alive, you did well. It's probably like the first time that you've just been dumped with all those kids, and you did it. Well done. So yeah, so that was pretty funny. Yeah. So anyway, so we ended up packing all the bags because tomorrow we were headed off. And that's right. Oh, sometimes I wish I'd just shut up. We jumped into bed, and Beck and I. And what was it? Hang on. Oh, that's right. We had pizzas. We had pizzas left over from the kids. Because we were just like, the kids can eat pizza. Make it easy for Mick. And so we had these pizzas left over, and Beck was talking about nutrition, because obviously it's top of mind at the moment. Nutrition and food and all these sorts of things. And so Beck was saying, she said something about like, oh, look, like, the pizzas are there, and I can't remember exactly how it unfolded, and I wish I recorded this sooner so that I did recall it. But in the end, I was like, yeah, like we eat shit, and she's like, we eat like shit, do we? We end up in this like bullshit argument. It flowed into the next day. It was toxic, eh? Sometimes I wish I'd just shut up. So, yeah, anyway, I finished my book called Taxtopia. Really, really, really good. I don't know if I've mentioned it in the earlier days, but really brilliant. It's this one right here. Taxtopia. I think the thing that I took out of it the most was about how, at a certain level of business, there's a whole new way to think and operate. And, like, for instance, if... it certainly made me really disenchanted, hey, I'll be honest. I already don't think that... Do I like having roads maintained? Yes. Do I like public health? Yes. Do I like, things like governing bodies of different industries that ensure that there's compliance and that sort of thing? It depends on the industry. I feel like somewhat over the top, but for the most part, yes. And it's not lost on me that there's countries where everyone is genuinely exploited. I am very, very grateful that we live in Australia. Absolutely. But I'm very conscious that when it's not your money, you misuse it. And one of the things that he highlights in this book is that accountants understand how money, well, for the most part, understand how money works, right? At least a lot better than the average Joe. So to be able to, you've got these politicians who don't have that knowledge. They're not in finance. They've not come from these backgrounds, and then we have to trust them to run the country with the money, which is the thing that they use to run the country. Like, you were saying in the States that there's more pilots on the, I'm just going to call Senate, it's probably the wrong word, but there's more pilots than there are accountants. Private pilots with people with pilot's licenses than accountants, and those people run the country. Madness. And I think that, like, at least in my experience, is that if I give if I give one of my guys at work, right, if I give him $100, and it's my money, but you can spend it, they're just gonna, who gives a fuck? They're gonna spend it. But if it's their $100, they've worked for it, well, then they're gonna do it. They're gonna look after it. And I'd say that it's probably just highlighted all the different ways to, and all the ways that have been caught out. And he's like, there's so many ways to like minimize your tax without having to, try and do anything dodgy. But the way he explains it is that it's like the ATO or the HMRC or the IRS, whatever it is they're like the cops on the side of the road holding the radar gun, trying to get you if you go over the speed limit at all, unless you're doing about 100 k's over the speed limit, and then they'll let you go past. And his rationale is that there's a level of the tax game that is so far out of reach of everyone else. In the UK, they spend the I guess governing body, I'm pretty sure it's called HMRC, spends, if I remember rightly, and I might misquote this, but it is wildly disproportional. I want to say 4-1, 5-1 or 4-1 dollars is allocated to benefits claim, like auditing or following up or whatever, as opposed to going after the big dogs. And the thing is, it's easy wins. Like these people, like they've got these like food benefits or like, tax benefits that they've claimed because they're like on the dole equivalent, and they can't afford lawyers. They're just going to pay it back, or they're just going to like admit defeat and shit like that. But you know what? You've got Lewis Hamilton, who pilfered £3.3 million after he bought a jet through the purchase of the jet. He didn't pay £3.3 million in tax. They ended up getting him, right? But they also went after the most high-profile person using that method, so that everyone else shat bricks and stopped using the method. It's a game, and it's just like, you look at it and you just go, nah. I'm already like pretty heavily opinionated on, and I know that like the other thing as well is I'm conscious that all throughout history, everyone's been critical of leaders of countries and heads of state and everything else, and I'm like, I don't want to be this like angsty little kid in the back blocks of WA, be like, look at this shit. But at the same time, I know that I'm not the only one thinking it. And everyone's like, oh, hey, if you're paying tax, you're making money. Fuck off. Like, here we are. We're flogging our bloody holes and taking risks. Like, I sold a house, the whole... You guys know the story. You've heard... the story's there for you to listen to. We've taken all these risks and everything else, and then I have to give 25%. And don't get me... like I said before, yes, roads, yes, healthcare, yes, all these things, for sure. Like, I'm not discrediting that. But I know when it's not your money, you misuse it and you waste it. And do I believe that politicians, and I'm not saying Australian politicians specific, well, actually, yeah, I am. But I think politicians in general, when you're not held accountable, what's the worst that happens? You lose your job. Great, and you go back to mining, you go back to whatever you were doing before. That's it. Like, if I fuck up in my position, I'm not allowed to run a business for the next 5 years. I lose my house because everything's mortgaged. My reputation's down the drain as well. Like, the whole lot. I owe people money. I owe our creditors. Everything is buggered. And I'm just going like, it's not the same. Like, the rules that they play to is not the same rules that we play to. And I think as well, like, the way that they're motivated is their intention is to get re-elected, not to actually do the things. Or if they do the things, right, if they've got these like agendas that they're wanting to push, they want to follow through on them so that they get re-elected. Like, the whole thing comes back to re-election. Okay, and maybe, okay, you want to get re-elected so that you can continue to make impact. Okay. Well, if that's what we're going to do, and as well, another little caveat, I have no doubt there are politicians who genuinely want to do the right thing. I did read about quite a while back, there was a guy over in Queensland who, I think when you hit like a certain amount of time, you get like this like fat pension for the rest of your life, right? And he spent so long. It was like a couple of days before he was meant to get the pension, he resigned. And they were like, what are you doing? He resigned and all that sort of shit. And then about a week later or a month later or something like that, he took the position back. And he was like, I'm here to serve, I'm not here to take. And I was like, man, you know what? I would willingly pay tax directly to that one individual, And yeah, but even like, you know, like fines, registrations, taxes, levies, duties, all these sorts of things, like they're all just a different kind of tax, you know. And if you have a look at it, it's like, all right, well, for the most part, once you add everything up, sales taxes and all these sorts of things too, not including like capital gains, not including inheritances and all these other things. It's just like it's all it's all a tax, you know. And they estimate that it's about 45 cents out of the dollar is actually what gets paid by the individual to tax. Meanwhile, if you're at the top, right at the top, then there's a lot of strategies you can do to minimize that, and it's always the people at the bottom get taxed. And it's just, yeah. Anyway, really, really enlightening. Is there anything actionable on that? Probably not. But I found it really enlightening, and it made me aware that, you know, the level that we're playing at right now is so far away from the level that people who are, you know, in the big leagues, the way that they play, it's not even comparable. So, yeah. Anyway, that was it.